Hello again, everybody. This is James Bartley, and you're listening to the Cosmic Switchboard Show. Today, my special guest is Delta. We've had her on the show before. She's a Milab, and she's had a lot of experiences. She's had a number of recent experiences. I wanted to get her back on the show to kind of brief us on what's been going on with her. So, without any further ado, Delta, welcome back to the Cosmic Switchboard Show.
Thank you, James. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody, and thank you for inviting me back.
Well, Delta, a lot's been going on, especially since we talked. But in the recent past, you've had an upsurge in activity once again. Now, just to bring our listeners, abreast of like current events with you, and for those who may not be familiar with the story, just a brief reduction on what's been going on with you, like where you came from, and your kind of nomadic lifestyle. I think that's a part of this also, bringing this up to the present time.
Yes. So I'm born and raised in Croatia. Born in communist country, Yugoslavia back then. So I went through a 3 to 4 year war, and so I came here in the United States when I was 21 by myself. Um, and it was a long battle ever since to just stay afloat. But also, I was just mentioning, I moved 30 times. It just seems like it's been nonstop and it's just constant. Like I can't stay in one spot for whatever reason. Things just always pop up and like, gotta go here, gotta go there. Now do this, now do that. It's just always on your toes. But it doesn't matter whether I'm, high stress or no stress. I had some years there where it was just steady. It doesn't matter. I have these snippets of memories come back. So I'm a contactee if you want to call me that. Since I was a child, I remember early training. I remember ETs and aliens as a common, knowledge to me. Going to other planets, other dimensions, being trained. But the part that always puzzles me is the military aspect. That it's always been American. Um, a fun fact: even as a child, before I can read and properly know Croatian, American was always something I knew. I never had to learn English, even though we had it in school. I would watch television and we had subtitles. I didn't have to read it. I understood American, and I actually thought everybody did in Croatia at the time. Um, Growing up, I was like, well, that's kind of strange. Like that, I just know it. It was very much, if we want to call it reincarnation, like a last lifetime, I might have been American. So that's where my thoughts were for a long time. Like maybe it's just so fresh in my mind. I just know it. My accent is not very thick. I know it's there, but it's not super thick like Eastern European. Think Russian, when they speak, they have this kind of heavy accent that I never had. And then in my dream states, I rarely speak Croatian, almost never, even as a child. So America has been always in my life since I remember. So it was like I'm coming home. To me, this is home. Croatia was a foreign country to me. So I had to be born there for whatever reason. I'm sure there's, purpose to that, but it didn't start off so traumatic in a way. And I know in one of your interviews, I mentioned, well, I only do this and that. I do a lot of spying. I do a lot of communications. I'm sort of playing a role of a diplomat, an interpreter, translator of different languages, aliens, doesn't matter, even on Earth. My other selves speak all these languages and they can decode things. Not me so much down here, obviously. Um, and it's interesting. There are memories, they're coming in more and more of me actually hurting humans. So I was like, okay, I wasn't ready for that, but okay. In one of the instances, we were held captive, and I think that's the only time I remember shooting actual people. And it the theme seems to be Afghanistan, um, either Afghanistan or Iraq or East, basically. And it seems current. I'm not talking some past life. I'm talking we have everything we have now and some. And so that's unfortunate. I mean, when you say special operations, I'm always part of a crew that's very small, between 3 people to maybe 8 max. And so we always doing some form of espionage, hiding in the bushes, spying for months. And then we would actually do attack or whatever is needed. There's always snippets that I don't know where they fit. One of them, well, let me finish this one. In this one seems to be Afghanistan, and I'm with a crew, maybe of 6 of us. We got caught. We're not killed, but we were held in the bottom of a building, like a basement. And so our guys couldn't find us. And I feel like we were there for months. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the other interview because it's been so long. And we were there for months, and the whole team, like the whole squad, was like, they're not coming to get us. They're not going to find us. If they knew where we were, they would have been here by now. And they kind of gave up on hope. And I was like, nah, there's no way they're going to leave us behind. We don't leave our people behind. And so I know they're going to come whenever they can, first chance, and they did. And I remember one guy came in, black suit from top to bottom, and with all this gear on. It was nighttime, and they had a helicopter waiting for us to pick us up, and he was giving us direction that way and go run. And all of them ran, and I looked at the guy, and he kind of stared at me like, "What are you doing?" And I just snatched a gun from his holster on the side, and I went opposite direction. And he was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I couldn't leave without killing the guys that captured us. I just couldn't just left the be and just go to the helicopter rescue and just go. So I went back. I remember distinctly shooting 6 men straight in the foreheads, like one shot, one person. I remember about third shot, my gun got jammed, and I had to like unjam it. And I wasn't even sure how many bullets are in there, but 6 shots, 6 people dead in a matter of less than 2 minutes. And then I ran. Of course, they waited for me. This guy was halfway, like running, like with his hand, kind of hurry, 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 like you crazy psycho, And then I got onto the helicopter, like, okay, now we can go. Now we're finished, That's one of them. Again, there's a lot of nighttime scene. Remember my story on top of the mountain? That was a nighttime scene. This was a nighttime scene. And then I had another one recently, a few of them where we're always in some bushes or hiding, and it's always nighttime. And I'm giving my guys the hand command, which remember, I mean, I don't know if you remember, or if I ever actually said, I'm a hairstylist in this life. Like I have nothing to do with military, army, Navy, Marines. And I'm giving him hand gestures like, my eyes to you two that way, or stop sign, and all these hand signals that I consciously don't know this. And they will move, very swiftly. And more, I recently I looked into some of the differences between Navy, Army, in different military sections, and I realized it's kind of fits more to Marines than anything else. Besides the fact that I remember receiving some form of recognition that I have completed Marine Corps training. And I was like, oh no, you got me confused. I'm a hairstylist. So it's like my consciousness here blends with that part of me. It's very interesting. But more recently, I opened my eyes. It was just March 26th. And it was just a snippet of me like standing on a jumping board, and probably 10 feet high, with my arms crossed on my shoulders. And I'm about to do the dive like they do in Marine Corps training. And so I dived in and I went all the way down. And as I went down, it's pretty deep. I just opened my eyes super wide, and I saw like it's a huge pool with stripes on the bottom and whatnot. It's not a dream because it's so crystal clear snippet, And as soon as I opened my eyes at the pool, opened my eyes here, I was like, oh my God, I felt like I was in that pool. Sometimes I remember sitting on the bottom of the pool and just being almost in a lotus position, like trying to be down as long as possible without coming up to the surface. Like, how long can you be without breath? Another nighttime one that I texted you about, I was like, what is this? I'm in a jungle. It's pitch black besides the moonlight. So it's showing the branches a bit. It's very quiet. We're hiding. We were there for a while. It's an ambush. Me and my few guys, again, it's not big. Again, maybe 8 to 10 of us in this instance. And I guess enemy was approaching, and we jumped out on my signal, and I screamed from the top of my lungs, thunder, motherfucker. I mean, I'm not going to yell it now, but I yelled it so hard in my dream. that's when I opened my eyes. It was just, like shooting started and I just woke up like eyes wide open. And I was like, well, that's weird. First of all, what is thunder? I have no idea. What do you mean thunder, thunder? And then motherfuckers is not really in my language down here. So I do say fucker a lot, I guess, but that was very specific. It felt very intentional, the way I said it and how I yelled it. And then I went back to you with that one. I was like, what is that? And then you mentioned that's probably Vietnam because the Marine Corps used a lot of thunder and they were, the way they would do their um, exercise and formation, they will be like singing thunder and stuff like that. I looked up videos. I'm like, that is so bizarre. Like, why would I know that? It makes no sense, zero sense that I would know that. Um, Same as with, doing the halo jump. That's another snippet. Also nighttime and, above the clouds and jumped out. I remember looking on my, what is it called? Barometer type, like not barometer, but the altitude
Altimeter,
watch.
altimeter.
Yes. Yes. And it was like a lot, the green light was on because it's nighttime. And I remember watching that thing when I can deploy my parachute, and I did. And when I did, it was just so slow and casual, but we were over the ocean. And I was like, oh man, when we hit that ocean and it's going to be dark and it's going to be cold and it's going to be heavy and it's just going to suck ass. So I was kind of saying to myself, enjoy the ride while you can, nice in the air and quiet. I saw the city on the left, all the lights were lit up. Um, and then I don't remember, as soon as I was getting close to the water, I was like preparing myself for embracing myself for the impact. And I was like, I woke up, but I had a feeling already. I kind of like knew what it's going to be about. Yeah, I have a snippets of doing the obstacle course. And even in this life, without remembering that, when I was a kid, I used to do obstacle course all the time for myself because I thought it was super fun. And I had a thought of joining military or doing something even in Croatia, and everybody looked at me like that's weird. And I was like, I guess not here. It just didn't seem right, so I never did anything with that. Um, so that one is the most recent one, the 26th, to jumping in a pool. There is a few more military ones. They're blended between the two, like aliens and military. Um, One of them when I was interrogated, which I talked to you about in a previous one. Um, then I had the one that they picked me up with the black helicopter and they took me to is it Canary Islands? Like, how do you pronounce it? It's Belize, I
Okay,
believe.
the Canary Islands.
Yes, they took me there on a coast and I met up with a bunch of kids and their nannies, and I was like, I don't know why I'm here, like what's going on. But I'm always quiet if I'm not sure. I mean, in general, you should just be really quiet. But silence is golden when you don't really know what's going on. So I'm just sitting there, and I remember next to my left, there's about three people or four max sitting, kind of like diplomatic relations. And I'm witnessing this marriage between this alien and a human. And it's a ceremony because they come from a planet, they have customs and traditions, and they were making it official because they hybridized a child and it was successful. So it was like the blending of the two species, but the child is being brought to Earth to be accustomed to human way of life and know the other side of the parent. Now, I haven't witnessed the parents. I saw their parents, like the mother-in-law, father-in-law, whatever they are, and uncles and aunts, but I couldn't see the bride and the groom. The child was brought. He was maybe 2.5 to 3 year old boy, look very humanoid, and even they look human. They look Polynesian, and they wore a lot of red beads. The man was huge. He had muscles. He was just like 6'5" guy, a lot of muscles, and he was wearing the top that was full of red beads, like plastic almost beads, a bit shiny, and just the plain white bottom top, like bottom, like there was white and red combo basically. The woman had this thing that they used to wear like in Egypt time. It looked like a headdress, also made out of beads, but like Cleopatra style with the bangs and like a bob that was covering her head. So we're sitting there. I'm sitting in this chair, like, okay, I'm witnessing this, sure. And one of the attendees of this alien, it could have been anybody of the family member because there was only maybe like 7 or 8 of them, looked up at me and he's like, ah, American. And then for whatever reason, my sassy mouth went, well, Croatian, really, but sure, American, why not? Like, I don't know why I said it like that, but I guess I was representing America. And next to me could have been, I don't know, China and other countries that were sitting there as diplomatic relations. Like, we needed to witness this. Like, we come here in good faith and we mean no harm, and we made agreement or something. So I thought that was weird that I witnessed it. And the kids that they brought over are basically orphans that they bring out. These women that take care of them get paid really well to keep their mouth shut, but also the kids are taken care of. So they're not malnourished or they're not unhappy. They spend money on them to keep them happy. So this child will learn the joy and happiness of children
And
and
these would
grow
be
up with
hybrid
them.
kids between these
Yeah,
ETs and humans.
correct.
And you said
Correct.
they
So
look kind of Polynesian. Are you familiar with how Maoris from New Zealand look and this big
kind of
fair?
like that.
No,
Yes,
good looking, but bronze Polynesian kind of skin tone. Familiar with that?
correct.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
interesting.
they look like that. Yeah, they look like that skin wise and even the look wise. So I don't know if that's like Maori ancestry or some sort, like from off the planet. Um, Again, they didn't seem hot. They were very royal. In my mind, I was like, oh, this is super royal wedding. I'm attending royal wedding. That's kind of how they consider it as well. This is royal wedding and a royal offspring. So remember them. The father was picking up, or I think grandfather, because he's the king who married off his son to or daughter to earthly, again, son or daughter. You know what I mean? He was the king who married off the prince or princess,
Yeah.
and they picked up this child, 2.5 years old, three boy, and like showed him off like under the armpits and just like showed it to the crowd and then put him, well, in my mind, translated to a helicopter. It was could have been a spaceship, well, I know, scout ship, and off they go off the planet, like we will visit whenever they do. So I thought that was weird. Again, sometimes I'm just diplomatic relations, sometimes I'm fighting, sometimes it's military.
In that
Really
experience you just
strange.
described, the wedding, what was the terrain like? Was it a clearing in a
It
jungle? Was
was
it like a
it was at
estate?
the beach. It
Oh,
was at the
okay.
beach. And there was a sand, kind of like the water was what do you call it? It was down. The tide was down. So it exposed a lot of beach. It
Yeah.
was I guess sunset time maybe. Um because the evening time I think they lit up like the torches, like the fire was there, so it was kind of like celebration a bit. It wasn't long. It was a few hours, maybe 2 3 hours long. But I don't think that area is that remote, but it felt like nobody can come here from humans to witness this. I don't know why I
Uh-huh.
feel like it, but I was very specifically told Canary Islands and that specific island, like exactly there. So when I woke up, like it was distinct there. Sometimes I get a location, sometimes I don't. So that one was very specific with the location. Either
Oh,
that's
it's interesting.
yeah, I was. I was like, where? I had to go on a map. I'm like, I know quite a few places on Earth, but I'm like, I don't remember where's Canary Islands. I'm like, oh, Belize. Oh, got it. Okay, I heard of it a long time ago. So yeah. So we had that. Then I had a weird thing happen at work on January 30th, where I have a young guy saluted him, like saluted me as soon as he saw me. I thought that was so bizarre because like the time stood still. And I was like, what in God's name is happening? Um, I mean, he turned the corner in the hallway and just saw me and he saluted me. And he was kind of caught off guard too. Like, why did I just salute you? And I was like, I don't know why you saluted me, but I ain't saluting you back. That's for sure. I'm not giving anything out there. So, um,
What were the circumstances? Was he going in for a haircut or something, or
no,
he
I
was?
was actually, no, we have this underground tunnel system for us where I work. So we're not on surface level. And you will go walk through underneath, under the ground to the tunnels to get to the cafe where we eat lunch, cafeteria basically. And so when I turned the corner to the exit to go on the surface, he was coming in, I guess, to eat. And so as he turned the corner and saw my face and looked me in the eyes, like his impulse was literally passing me by and saluting me. And then he had the hand down. And for a second, I saw his eyes just kind of go, what the fuck? Like, why did I do that? because it was weird to him, and
Well, it was
I
like an
noticed it.
autonomic
But
response to him. Like he saw you and automatically,
correct. Yep.
unconsciously did it.
Yes. Like he didn't think of it. He was so quick. I mean, we were walking by. It was just a few steps before he saw me, a few steps next to me and gone. And it was just automatic response. Yes. Without thinking and without analyzing. It was just his, you know, um, knee-jerk reaction, which is, I thought, interesting. He was maybe 23, like young black male, you know.
Well,
I have no idea what
chances
that was
are
about.
you've been around, and it's possible if he's part of the program in some way that they
Yeah.
access him and use him quite apart from his normal day-to-day duties with the military or the Marine Corps. Excuse me.
But that's what I was thinking. How many of them are being trained like that and have no memories on a surface level? And um, if and when the time comes, imagine them being activated through whatever means, and everybody has their switch on and they do whatever they're being programmed. I mean, it could be a good scenario, it could be a very bad scenario, it can be half and half
Exactly. It's like
scenario.
who would be pulling the strings when they get activated, and there be a struggle to gain control of those strings? Well, because I know
Exactly.
in cases, my lab cases where the individual will meet somebody at a gathering or increasingly with social media, they'll be in some forum or something, and they may think that they're nice and safe with a pseudonym, but then they'll mention, well, I've had certain experiences, yada, yada, yada. And then suddenly, instead of the normal group, so-called, that has abducted and re-abducted this person in the past, suddenly a whole new group seems to move in because they kind of semi-publicly announced that they're in these programs. Next thing you know, another group seemingly comes in. Oh, you've got these special skills and this kind of like a skill set. So let's start accessing you for our projects, right? So I think that
Correct.
that happens sometimes too.
Well, as we know, people that have enlisted in the past, I mean, we're talking World War II, if not prior, some of the military members ended up being part of the um, alien abduction phenomena, and it's been in their basically bloodline for whatever reason, whatever paperwork they sign up. There was a small print or something that gives the family permission to abduct them. Because if you trace back, most abductees somewhere down the line had somebody in military. I don't know if anybody has ever done a
Yeah, there
comprehensive
definitely is. I
study.
mean, yeah, that's definitely come up. I mean, there's going to be an element of people that have connections with the military, whether there's any significance in some cases, but certainly in certain cases, there definitely is a pattern. I mean, like in my case
Mm-hmm.
and in other people's cases, E.B. Lorgan, there's either a military and or aerospace connection because it just seems to me that the powers that be have access to that child's medical records from the get-go. So they would know
Yep,
what their DNA profile is, what their blood work is like, and the latent DNA and ET DNA contained within there.
exactly.
So they would have an idea of who these people are.
Correct. So I think it's a tug of war between the possible factions that's trying to stop this nonsense with the whole military industrial complex taking over and the actual military industrial complex still running the show. So sometimes I feel like I'm dealing with the guys that are trying to end it, and sometimes I'm forced to work with the military industrial complex, whether I like it or not. Because, the threats are I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill your family, I'm going to kill your pet, I'm going to kill your kid, I'm going to kill everybody you love if you don't do this. And in my dream state, you're like, well, shit, they promised if I do this, if I finish this. For example, when they sent me through the jump gate to Mars to retrieve an alien, they were so convincing to say, you have a lot in stake, but hey, as soon as you did do this one thing for us, we'll let you go and you'll be fine. And I did what they asked me to do. And next thing you know, they're like, you're not going anywhere. We were just kidding. Like they're lying, right? They don't keep the promises. They will kill everybody you know. So what do? You don't want to hurt the loved ones. So you just do what you're told. And then in my case, there was this young lady that came up to me and said to me, what are you doing? I'm like trying to escape the underground base, basically trying to find exits and how the system works so I can break it. And she was like, you don't have a passport, right? You don't have an ID. They won't even send a medic out on the field for you. Like you don't exist in any records anywhere. So it's not even black op. Like black operations have some form of rules, regulations, and even monitoring, right? This is so rogue. They won't even come and get you if you die on the field. Like, okay, well, that's one down because they don't want anybody to know what you're doing. It's just that stealth and that secretive. So yeah, I did what I had to do. I don't know if I escaped that one. And I felt like I was, again, 14 years old. I was very young.
When
Which I don't know how he, yeah.
about what age did you begin to did you have memories of the training beginning?
So at a current lifetime, I mean, my training begins since I was like 6, 7 years old. Like going out of body, doing the astral traveling, maneuvering my astral body, shape shifting, even showing other planets, showing how the energy works, that type of training. And then it starts to switch, like in between. I'm seeing aliens, right? But now I'm seeing aliens with the military, being accompanied with the military. And then more and more, I'm like, okay, the one was in a guard, just the guard, like a military guard with the, regular camo. But next thing I know, it's more and more black, like just all black. Like the gear they have on, I don't even know what to name them, from the night goggles to the things they have on them, the gadgets are just so futuristic, but they're here. You know what I mean? They're real. They're not another planet or another. It's right here, right now. We just don't know about it. When you see Black Ops all decked out, it's that and some. You know what I mean? Even the helicopters, I mean, they're decked out. They have rifles on the sides and bombs and all sorts of gadgets on them. They're not plain. The Chinook helicopters also decked. Everything is just extra.
Yeah, and also even the vehicles, like some of the Crown Victorias and Suburbans they used to drive around in, probably something more up to date now. But when people peer inside these, and these are just like spooky feds sometimes, right? That hang around the perimeter of spooky places, right? Military, intelligence,
Yeah.
industrial, ET related places. And they looked into the dashboard instead of a normal dashboard with, like a fuel gauge and pedometer.
Mm-hmm.
It's that they see a whole array of other things on the
So
dashboard
much
with
more.
weird, eerie green light, glows, and
Mm-hmm. Yep.
so definitely it's next level.
It's the next level, and then you won't find it on internet easy like that because obviously you don't have electronics. I don't have a cell phone when I'm working. When there's some missions, I don't have a cell phone. There's nothing to record besides my memory of it. And telling you, and if there's another person out there that's going to say the same thing confirmed, there's no way of verifying it. They don't keep records. They won't even send a medic out if you get hurt. They just tell you do this. This is your mission, and a smaller amount of people better. Usually I work by myself. If I get 3 guys, I'm super happy. If I get more, it's great. Just depends on the mission, you know, depending what needs to be done. If I'm spying and I'm infiltrating a facility or something, they're not going to send usually 5 of us or something. It's too risky. One gets blown off the cover, we all fucking busted. So less chances are you and do a good cover, go in and retrieve. But sometimes we do need 3 or whatever. For example, what I told you just recently, I went to an underground facility with the drilling in there, the drilling machine, like a boring machine or whatever it's
Yeah, the
called.
tunnel boring machine.
Right. There was 3 ladies with me and me, so that makes it 4. We were in civilian clothing. We were not decked out in any special rank. So how they let us in, I don't know how we got in under that guise, but we did. And I think as soon as they let us either do our job or leave, I'm not sure, but we snuck in all the restricted areas. And when we walked in that one, well, of course we're gonna like, what's here? What's there? What's that? What are they doing? Um, that machine was like halfway in the water, halfway out in the air, and it was like a cave, but there was daylight as well. There was some opening. It was like almost hidden in plain sight. If you look a little better, you'll see all that. Where exactly was, I don't know. I have no clue. I mean, I was inside. I just know I told the ladies to do the deep dive, you call it free dive or whatever. I mean, you have no gadgets. You just have your lungs, man. Just take the breath and go all the way down. I need you to open your eyes and explore the crap out of this so we can get a 360. So I remember giving them, you go there with my finger, you go over there and you go in that corner and just do 360 swimming. And when we report back, we're going to put it together, how it looked like, what your impressions are, what you saw. It's just weird stuff like that. I mean, Jesus, even what, yesterday? When did I text you? Yesterday? I sent my girlfriend, I know, a friend of mine I know her for a while now, 15 years or something. And in my dream state, I sent her on a mission by herself because for whatever reason, I'm always in charge. I told her to go and she got hurt. And in my dream, I'm visiting her and she's in bed, which seems like a regular bedroom. It's not like hospital bed. And they told me she was unconscious, but she woke up or she's in and out. And I got in and she's kind of awake. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I did that. That was my fault. I miscalculated that mission and you got hurt and I got a concussion and you hit your head. And I'm like, all right, but it seems like you're getting better. So that's good. And I know I brought my dog with her, just sit next to her and keep her company, but also put additional guard in front of the door, like a military guard person, so nobody can get to her while she's recovering. And I was like, shooting my shot. So I texted, I'm like, hey, I had a dream of you, man. You had a concussion and stuff, and just, snippets of the memory. And she goes, oh my God, I had a concussion. I'm like, what in God's name you mean you had it's like, yeah, but this few weeks back, but yeah, I had a concussion. I'm like, okay, that's just creeping me out right now. It's weird. I felt horrible in my dream because I guess I shouldn't have sent her alone. She should have been with a buddy. You should, rarely you send a person alone. As you know, something happens to you, you're done. Buddy system works. So it was like, I miscalculated that. And she should have had a buddy.
Do
But
you ever have
anyways,
memories of yourself being injured in training or in some op, and then you know, having to go through like a recuperation period, but in the context of these Milab altered state of beings, or you don't recall ever being injured or having a wound or anything?
no, I don't remember ever being injured. I do remember being caught and interrogated a lot, but not injured. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. That just means I don't remember it yet. Uh, Likelihood of that happening are high. I just don't. And it's interesting, the level of command that I have is that I put myself in situations where I either get away just in the nick of time. I think I managed to escape a lot of scenarios where I could have gotten hurt, but I didn't. Remember my meeting with the Navy officer, female Navy officer, and she was followed and they busted us in our meeting. She was supposed to give me some important information. I mean, her guys just snatched me so hard and threw me in the back of the truck and drove off. But if they didn't, I would have been shot there. But misses me by a hair. Like, for example, the whole Vietnam thing, when I jumped out and was yelling, thunder, thunder, motherfuckers. I could have been shot because right after that was pitch black. So it could have been the end of me. I just, I'm in spirit world from that point on, and I just opened my eyes here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag because they seem to be able to enhance our senses and our even our physical abilities.
Yes.
Whatever limitations we may have in our normal waking consciousness, our normal physical bodies,
It's super
either
cute there.
yes, they
Super
either,
cute.
and that's presupposing we're in the same body too, and because of their
You're right.
ability to manipulate time and timelines and what have you, and the possibility of cloned bodies where I've spoken to some Milabs and they're pretty certain in some of their ops or their training that they got mangled in some way, either through some accident or through being shot or something, or something going off like a charge nearby.
R-
Excuse me.
Right. It starts to get really complex in my mind. Is my body here, there, or is it they're cloning me and they're just transferring my consciousness and one to the other to the third, keep, reproducing me and just putting the same old me with so much experience and training, obviously Vietnam and God knows how before that. And I mean, I'm off planet being. I'm not even fully human. I am human now, but my soul goes so far back. I do have knowledge, which is why they always threaten me. You know too much. We're gonna kill you. I'm like, haha. At this point, I don't even flinch. It's like, whatever, dude. I heard that so many times. I'm still here. And even if I'm not, it seems like I just keep coming back. They can't get rid of me. So whatever. I don't know. The fear of death is not there for me. Uh Again, I have escaped so many situations that I'm like, I think I made it. In some instances, I'm like, I may have not. In other past lives, like when I was in Egypt and things, I remember distinctly being killed, for sure, with the snake venom and poisoned and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh well, then that
Well,
ended there. That's for
who were
sure.
what were you in that Egyptian life?
I was a high priestess, and I was a first cousin of an Akhenaten, and Akhenaten was coming to throne, and we were counseling him on what he needed to do in order to change the religion and the probabilities of humanity and Egypt and the rulership the way it was. And I didn't like him. I mean, we were like enemies. I had some parts of the lineage from him, but not all. So I call him my first cousin because that's what I was told, your cousins. Um, and we would come here and consult, and they would consult me. We would all sit down and consult with each other what needs to be done. And I remember him being stubborn and retarded and not willing to cooperate and so self-righteous and so arrogant and so egotistical that I was like, I want to vomit. I can't believe we're putting this guy up to do something like this. He's going to fail so bad. And he did. And so I remember just being pissed. Like, we're wasting our time on this one, man. It's not going to work.
The mentality or the reasoning behind trying to put him in, was that inspired by the priesthood, or were aliens behind it, or and what did
Aliens,
Akhenaten
all
look
of them
like?
were
Did he have
aliens.
that big head that
He
sloped
had
way back?
belly. He didn't. He had like a semi. It wasn't that extended. Those are the original ones, but he was a hybrid. So his head wasn't as big. I just know his limbs didn't work right. He had a belly. He had like hips were not. They assisted him walking. Like, he was so pathetic. It's like he's not a warrior. He's not a leader. We just putting him in there because of his genetics, because he's a hybrid. But really, he was like not a good hybrid. Like, we could have probably made a better hybrid and put him on throne, but um I just didn't like his personality. I mean, he took the whole I'm a royal thing so far up his ass that I was like, ugh, he's just despicable. The arrogance was there. I mean, the idea was to blend many gods into one god,
Yes.
and and not to have, don't idolize everything you freaking see. And there's not that, it is one god, we come from one place. That was the idea, which even I mean, we will at that point we'll take even worship of sun and Ra, like there's one, you know what I mean, like something. It was a start,
Yeah.
but it was something. But man, he was an asshole. I hated sitting down and having to consult with him because he was just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this. It was just like, oh my God.
And you
He
have clear
was
memories of this,
miserable.
and the
Oh yeah.
frustration with him still lingers with you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would never want to see him again, wherever he's at. We're good, man. You failed a mission. Goodbye. Bye. Do not come over here. I'm still here. Hello. I'm still being reincarnated here because I still do believe the mission is not accomplished. We haven't achieved what we want to achieve, which is freedom, which
Yeah,
is sovereign beings that have right to evolve on their own pace without interference, and that is still not accomplished.
I
We're not
agree.
like we're not even.
Well, let's
Hmm.
delve into some of the more off-world stuff in the second segment. Uh,
Hmm.
and yeah, to our dear listeners out there, it's a good time to end part one. To our dear listeners out there, if you like what we do, if you believe in what we do, please go to the cosmicswitchboard.com, sign up and become a member, and we'll see you at the top of the member segment.